25a, discussing number of agaritas. So on the top of the page, we learned the about the stopping of the sun and where it was mentioned earlier, where it was hinted to earlier. So now a similar kind of idea. The Yomer, 20 lines up, second to last word, third to last word in the line. Ksiv, it says in Shmuel, Vayomer l'lamed b'nei Yehuda kashes. Hine ksuva al sefer Yasher. You should teach Yehuda archery because it states it in the Sefer HaYashar. It states in the book of the upright. Okay, so my Sefer HaYashar. What is it? The book of the upright, and then we're going to see it. And where is it stated to teach archery? So Amr Chia Barab Amr Yochanan this Sefer Abraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov. This is referring to the book of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Shenikru Yisharim. They're called the straight ones. Tichsiv Behu, as it states in Parshas Bilam, in Parshas Balak, when Bilam says, Thomas Nafshi, I want my soul to die, Mos Yisharim, the death of the upright. No matter how bad and how evil of a life he was living, but at the end of the day, he wants to be like the upright. Who's the upright? But he acharisi kamo, and he wants the end to be like them. Who's like them? Implying like our forefathers. Yeah. Now it's interesting, and just a little bit bothersome to me. It says he wants to die the death of the upright of righteous. How do we know that's referring to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? Maybe it's just referring to an upright person. The evil guy wants to die a death of the righteous. Okay, those righteous are referring to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Maybe because he refers to them as Yisharim, and Yisharim we're saying now is referring to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. I don't know, just interesting. I'm sure there's an answer somewhere. I'm just somewhere. The Heicha Remiza, and where does it say in Bereshis, Sefer Bereshis, the book of Bereshis, that you got to teach him archery, Yehuda. So by the blessings of Yaakov, it says Yehuda ata yaducha achacha yadecha be'oref oivecha. So Yaakov is telling Yehuda, you should know ata yaducha achacha, your brothers are going to admit to you. You're going to see. They're going to see yadecha be'oref oivecha. Your hands will be literally at the neck of your enemies. So what does that mean? It sounds like some kind of blessing regarding battle. What kind of battle do you need where the hand is corresponding to the neck? That's archery, because you have to be able to shoot, and it's the guy's neck, and that's how you kill him. So that's one interpretation. Rabbi Omer is a Sefer Mishnah Torah. When it says Sefer HaYashar, it's referring to really the book of Devarim. Why is it called Sefer HaYashar? Dichsiv, as it says, V'asisa HaYashar v'atov v'einei Hashem. The verse in Devarim says that one should do what's good and upright in the eyes of Hashem. Right? The question on this is that's one verse into a whole book. Why does one verse in that book define the whole book as the book of the upright? I think they point out that the Sefer Devarim has a lot of repetition, and then it also goes above and beyond with some new laws. The verse of going above, this verse is the source of going beyond the letter of the law. This Asisa Yasher V'Atov Ein Hashem. That's the source that one should go above and beyond the letter of the law. So Gemara in Shabbos says we lost the base of Mikdash because we didn't go above the letter of the law. We judged people strictly like the law says. We couldn't go above the letter of the law and have more mercy on them. The Heicha Remiza, where's the hint in the book of Devarim to the fact that Yehuda is going to be an archer, involved in archery? Yadav Ravlo. So his hands are going to be very great. The Ezu Milcham, there's two hands. The Ezu Milcham, which war needs two hands? I would have said all wars need two hands. So it says Have Omer Zu Keshes. That's referring to archery. With two hands, one for the archer, one for the bow. Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani Omer says Sefer Shoftim, and this Sefer Yash referring to Sefer Shoftim in the book of the Judges. Now here we're going to have a different understanding. The Mai Karile, why is it called Sefer Yasher? Why is Sefer Shoftim called Sefer HaYashar, the book of the upright Tichsiv? So Sefer Shoftim tells us that each person did what was yashar in their own eyes. So meaning this is not a compliment. right? Each person, there was no king, so they all did what was upright in their own eyes, and that was a problem. The Heicher means where in Sefer Shoftim does it talk about Yehuda being an archer? Leman das doros, the lamdim milchama. So this is in the beginning of Shoftim, where it's talking about Jewish people learning war. The Ezu milchama shetzricha limud, which war needs learning? So Have Omer zu keshes, archery, special craft, special way to do archery. That's the war that needs some education. Okay. Uminalan, who says that verse about teaching the Jewish people is referring to Yehuda? We said before that Yehuda was one that was blessed with archery. So where in Sefer Shoftim, when it's referring to archery, do we see a reference to Yehuda? The Yomer Hashem, Yehuda Yala. Who's going to go to the Kanani and fight with him? Hashem says Yehuda. Tribe Yehuda is going to go. So they're the ones that are destined to fight. And so they're the ones that need to learn how to fight. What fighting needs learning? Archery. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now, another parenthetical dispute of two opinions that we had earlier, they also disputed something else. So what did they dispute? It says in Shmuel. So this is when Shmuel made a feast to appoint Shaul as the king. So let's see the food that was served. So was it as good as the JC or not as good as JC? Let's see. So Vayarim hatabach as a shok v'ha'aleha. So they lifted up the chef lifted up the shok is the thigh, and the halel, we're gonna see what that means. So usually the aleh, usually it's called aliyah, not aleh, but it's usually just the tail. So ma'iv aleha. So says the Gemara, the misamcha shok le aliyah. It sounds like it's referring to the tail, but it's the thigh is the one that supports it. The thigh supports that part of the body, so it's that part that was served. Apparently, it's like from the choicest meats. So, is that how they translate it as the tail?
Shank, the tail portion.
Tail portion.
The shank and the tail portion. What is the reason the tail portion to describe it? What is upon it? Because an animal stands the shank and bone and supports the tail portion.
Right, as we can imagine, an animal, the thigh, the legs are supporting that higher part. Okay. The Rabbi Elazar Omer Shok B'Chaza, he says it's referring to really the thigh and the chest and the breast. Yeah. So Ma'iv Aleha. So why is the breast referred to as the upon it? The Machis La Lechaza Ilave the Shok Hibay Anufe Umanafilek. When it comes to a korban shlamim, you have to do waving. When you do waving, you put the chest on top of the thigh, so it's on top. So the chest is called on top because it's on top of the thigh when you do the waving. Yeah. So Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani Amar Shok B'Shofi. So this is referring to the shok and the shofi. I don't know the English word for shofi, but the Rashi says it's like the rounded part around the thigh.
Cap of the thigh bone.
Cap of the thigh bone, right? Okay, so I guess cap means the round part of the thigh bone.
Right.
Yeah. So the shok and the if that wasn't fun enough, time for some hilchos seclusion. Yeah, here we go. Not the halachas of secluding oneself with a woman or a woman with a man is like a tiny amount of Gemara. I think it's like 1 or 2 daf in the end of Kiddushin. I think a little bit here. And then you have hundreds of pages of like all the details. But so it said in our Mishnah, Lotus Yached Isha Imahem. You cannot let a woman seclude herself with an idol worshiper. So obviously the question is going to be, you can't have a woman seclude herself with a Jewish male either. Right. So what's the novelty of the idol worshiper? That's obvious. So obviously we're going to find a case which would be permitted with a Jew and prohibited with an idol worshiper. And that would be a novelty. So that's the name of the game. Find that case. So, but before we do that, let's exhaust all the obvious cases. So, Lotus Yached Isha Imahem. Do not let a woman be secluded, a Jewish woman with an idol worshiper. What are we talking about? If it's one woman and one idol worshiper, well, one woman and one Jewish man, they can't be secluded either. How do I know? It says in Kiddushin and of Kiddushin. You can't have one man be secluded with two women. Ella. So, yeah, 1 second.
Presence of two women is not regarded as a guarantee against immoral
Correct.
behavior, since the man might seduce both of them.
Right. Right. Yeah, they're both prone to be secluded. Right. Obviously, the prohibition of seclusion is because one might come through illicit relations, and therefore, even one man with two women, they could both be easily seduced, and that's going to be a problem. So, so okay. So what? 1 second. So what do you see? That two women can't be secluded with one man. For sure, one woman cannot be secluded with one idol worshiper. Right? One woman can't even be secluded with two Jewish males. For sure, not with one. Yeah. For sure, she doesn't have a friend with her. So yeah. So Ella Bitlata. Maybe you'll say a woman with three men. The Kavasei Gabi Sol, the Prutza Misharis. Now one man with three women. One woman with three men in general would be permitted by a regular upstanding citizen. However, by what we call prutzim, people that are prone to illicit relations, and what we would call much more of a low life, being involved in everyone else's wives, those kinds of people are called prutzim. So for them it's prohibited even by a Jew. How do I know? One woman could seclude herself with two men. However, that's with kosher men. A woman can seclude herself with two kosher men. However, beprutzim, with people that are not kosher, people that are prone to these things, even 10 men she can't seclude herself with. So our Mishnah cannot be referring to one woman with three idol worshippers, because even 10 Jews who are low life and prone to these things is prohibited. So, and then it brings a story. There was a woman that was secluded with 10 men, and they took her out in a bed. I don't know if it sounds like took her out in a bed to have relations with her. So you see that even 10 men who are low life are going to go have relations with this lady. So this is not, if you're in the wrong crowd, that doesn't seem to matter how many men there are. Stay away. So lo tzricha beishto imo. We're talking about a case. Beishto imo. The woman cannot be secluded with an idol worshiping man, even if the idol worshipper's wife is there with him. Usually, if a wife is there in a normal situation, she'll guard him. He's not going to go and cheat on her right in front of her face. However, these idol worshippers seem to get to such a low level in society, as we saw already from their sodomization, that his wife is not going to be necessarily a fear for him. That's not going to be the red light that's going to stop him from giving into his desire. However, by a Jew, that would stop. The ishto ima would come in ein ishto mishamarto, aval yisrael ishto mishamarto. By a Jew, if a woman is secluded with a man, it's not really called secluded, but if she's with a man and the man's wife is there, that's fine, right? That's so yeah. So that's the case where by a Jew it'll be permitted, and by idol worshiper there's still a worry that they might get illicit relations. Now it's a very funny thing, because the next part of the Mishnah says a man can't seclude himself with idol worshippers because they're going to kill him. A woman can't seclude herself with idol worshippers because she might get seduced, or she might get raped. Why aren't you worried that a woman might get killed? A man can't seclude himself with idol worshiper because he might get killed. A woman, that doesn't say that. That's the next question. So the tepukle mishum shvichas damim. 1 second, a woman can't seclude herself because of illicit relations. There's another concern over here. She might get killed. Just like a man can't seclude himself, he might get killed. So here we have two interesting answers. Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah be'isha chashuva askina. Rabbi Yirmiyah said we're talking about a lady who's prominent. Now, prominence in this case means she's prominent across the board. Within the women, she's prominent. Within the men, she's prominent. What does prominence mean? So within the men, it means she has connections. She has family ties. She's close to the government. she's a relative of whatever her last name is, Kennedy, something like that. So whatever the case is, that's how she's prominent within the men. Therefore, they're not going to kill her. They know who her father is. They know who her uncle is. They mess with her. They mess with the king, with the heads. How are you prominent among the women? Very interesting. She's a pretty lady. She's a pretty lady. So now, among the men, they're not going to kill her, and among the women, they're not going to kill her. However, if she was lacking one of those two, so that meaning if she was not prominent, she didn't have family ties, so then there is a worry that they might come and kill her. So Rav Yirmiyah says the fact that our Mishnah is not worried about a woman being killed, it must be she's prominent across the board. She's a good-looking lady with connections. And therefore, a good-looking lady with connections, the only worry is that she might get seduced or raped. There's no worry that she's going to get killed. That is Rabbi Yirmiyah's answer. Because the mirtatimina, they're scared to kill her. They don't want to mess with her. She has connections. However, Rav Idi Amar no. Rav Idi says we're not talking about this prominent lady. Rather, he says, Isha kli zaina aleha. Even if she's not prominent, but a woman carries her weapons with her. Rashi understands what it means is that even though she's not such a prominent lady, however, they're not going to kill her. They're always going to want her for relations. And after they have relations with her, they're not going to kill her. That's so she always is armed with the fact that she can have her, that they could use her for relations and not for murder. And the assumption is that they're not going to kill her after. Interesting assumption nowadays. I don't know if that you find out. Interesting question. So according to this, at least, if it's in the hands of the idol worshippers, the assumption is that if she had prominence or good looks, it would help her. According to Rav Idi, though, it sounds like she wouldn't get killed. Not saying she would never. We're saying we're not worried as much to make a decree. It's a kli zaina aleha. She has her weapons with her. Yeah, exactly. So, that's probably what it means. They will continue to use her. That's how they wouldn't kill her. I was bothered by why would they kill her? Because they want to keep using her. Got it? Yeah. My Beinai, what's the practical difference between Rav Yirmiyah and Rav Idi? At the end of the day, a prominent woman we're not worried about, a not prominent woman we are worried about. So at the end of the day, we're still worried that she might seclude her. That we're still worried about if she does seclude herself, that she might get raped. So what's the practical difference between these two opinions? A lady who's prominent among the men, but she's not prominent among the women. So according to the first opinion, since she is prominent among the men, but she's not prominent among the women, so there is still a worry that she will get raped because she's a good-looking woman. There is not as much of a worry that she might get killed because she has connections. That's according to Rav Yirmiyah. However, according to Rav Idi, who said that she always is protected because she's a woman, so they always could use her. So he didn't have a requirement of being prominent among anybody. So therefore, according to Rav Idi, even if she wasn't prominent, even if she was not prominent among the women, if she wasn't good looking, he still would forbid it. According to Rav Yirmiyah, if you don't have either one of them, then sounds like it'd be permitted. You have to have one of them for it to be prohibited to seclude yourself. But according to Rav Idi, we're always worried that she might be seduced or she might be raped. And according to Rav Yirmiyah, we're only worried if you have some level of prominence. If you have no level of prominence, then we're not worried about being secluded with a idol worshiper. Tanya Kivasid Rav Idi Bar Aben Aisha Havisha Shalom Ima Lo Tisyachin Ima. So according to Rav Idi, the Brisa supports Rav Idi how says a woman, even though she has peace with her. So Rashi understands peace with her means that she won't get killed. She has her weapons on her, so she can make peace with them by using her. She'll rather get raped than get killed. Because we're worried that she will get raped. So that seems to be support Ravidi Baravin, that she always has her weapons with her. She always has peace with her, and that will avoid her from getting killed. Yeah. Okay. So next part, a person should not seclude himself with idol worshiper either. Okay, so now 1 second. Sorry. So we're talking about things that you shouldn't do amongst the idol worshippers. So now we're going to go and extend it and expand it to other practices that you should be very careful of. We see that we're worried from our Mishnah. We're worried about getting killed if you're alone with idol worshiper. Other things you should be careful of. So you come to encounter, you're walking, and now all of a sudden next to you is an idol worshiper. So he should be on your right side. He should be on your right. Why? Because this way he's on your right. So now if he wants to kill you, so your right hand is next to his left hand. So your stronger hand is next to his weaker hand. So that's good advice. Now, Rabbi Yochanan Broka says, okay, let's see the weapons that he has. Depends. If it's beside, if he has a sword on him, so Toflo Yamino, he should be on your right side because the sword is usually kept on the left side, right? I guess like sometimes diagonally, he can whip it out with his right. But since the sword's on his left side, it's closer to you. If you sense your life is at danger, you can quickly grab the sword, and because it's right next to you, because they put him on your right side. However, if he's carrying not a sword, but he's carrying a stick, a staff, so then he should be on your left side, because then his staff is holding with his right hand, so your left hand is the closest one to his right hand. You have to grab the staff and protect yourself. Yeah. How you olin b'mala or yordan b'yirida? You're going up an ascent or down a descent. Whatever you're going, up. You live in Portland. There's hills everywhere. If you're walking uphill, downhill. You walk up a mountain, up a hill. So now, lo ye yisrael lamata. You should never be below him, because then he can attack you from behind. Don't have him on top and you on the bottom, because he can catch you from behind. Ella yisrael lamata. You should really be in front and him from the back. I think they point out that you should be like some kind of at an angle. So if he does come to attack, you'll be at an angle. It'll be harder for him. Right. Yeah, Rashi says she shouldn't be directly behind you, to the side. Yeah. Now, don't bend down in front of him because you might crush your skull. So, yeah, more sage advice. He asks you, hey, where are you going? So don't tell him where you're going, double it or whatever. Say longer, right? So Yarchilos, they're extended. So yesterday I was driving, getting off at exit 297 at Terwilliger. So if he asks me on the way, where are you heading? I tell him I'm at exit 299. That way, if he wants to kill me, he's going to plan for more time. Meanwhile, I'll exit and he'll, yeah. So Esav talking to Yaakov at the end of the story. You go ahead. I'll meet you at Seira. And then what does it say? He took a right turn or whatever to Sukosa. Okay, now interesting stories. Two interesting stories. The students of Rabbi Akiva were Shayu Holchin L'Chsiv. They were in the north of Israel, going to a place called Ksiv, and Pagu Behen listened, and bandits encountered them, and Amru Lahan La'anatem Holchin. Where are you heading to? So it sounds like very upstanding over here, or very smart bandits. I would just attack them. But hey, where are you heading to? So Amru Lahan, they said La'ako, which is farther than Ksiv, where they were actually going. Now, this part's a little confusing to me, just the practical details of this, the technical details. Kavan Shigiu L'Ksiv, as they're getting off the exit to Ksiv, so now Kishigiu L'Ksiv Pirshu, they went off the road. And now Amru Lahan, the bandits, said, wow, Talmidei Miatem, who are you students of? So Amru Lahan, Talmidei Rabbi Akiva, we're the students of Rabbi Akiva. So Amru Lahan, they said to him, wow, Asher Rabbi Akiva Talmidav, Shalu Paga behind other Rabbi, and they praised them. How great are the students of Rabbi Akiva, that no evil person ever encountered them because they're always able to outsmart them. It's just a funny thing, like they're going off the road and they're talking to them. Like, why don't you just follow them now? Like, why don't you? Like, oh, you're getting off at that exit? We'll see you later. I don't know. It's a little bit of a funny, but okay. Now, Rav Menashe of Azil Lebei Turta, Rav Menashe was going to Beit Turta, a place. Now, Pagu Beit Ganvi, nope. So robbers encountered him. It's interesting. Before the language was listim, bandits. Here it's Ganvi, robbers. I'm not sure what the difference. So Amrulay, they said to him, La'anka Kazalta, where are you heading to? So Amr Lahan, he told them, Le Pumpadisa. So now this is taking place in Bavel, because he said, I'm going to Pumpadisa, that was in Bavel. So, which is farther than where he was actually going. Kimata Le Beit Turta, when he gets to Beit Turta, Parish, gets off the road, and the same encounter. Amrulay, well, not exactly the same, but Amrulay, Talmidei de Yehuda Ramat. I see, so this is a degrading comment. I see your students of Yehuda the trickster. Apparently, but they say they're tricking us. So Amar Lahu, he said back to them, Yeditulei, you should know, Hanu Inish Bishante. So apparently the Rebbe Yehuda had tremendous power to curse. And they're saying you should have the curse of our master, of our teacher Yehuda. So now he put the curse on them in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, who has tremendous power with his mouth. So what happened? Azlu Avru, Avdu Genifta, Esrin Vitartin Shnin Velo Etzlich. They spent the next 22 years trying to rob, and they were unsuccessful. So Kevan de Chazu, once they saw this Asukulu, Kevan de Chazu Asukulu, Tavu delicious. They came back and they wanted to release the ban. They could be successful robbers again. Been 22 years. Can you release your curse from us? So Vahavibuhu Chad Garidna Dilo Asa. All the robbers except for the weaver came to release the curse. Why didn't the weaver come? So the Shuri L'Shamte to take off the ban. So what happened to him? He didn't come. Achle Aryeh, and a lion ate him. Okay, and Hainu the Amri Inchi. That's what we'll say. Girdon de Lo Tyson, a weaver. He's not humble. So what happened? Shatzer Butzer Mishneh. Then his years get diminished. So a weaver doesn't have any embarrassment. So it sounds like he's going strong. 22 years, and he's not humble enough to come and release the ban. So a lion eats him. So, but look, Tachazi Maben Ganve Babel, the listim to Eretz Yisrael. Look at the difference between the robbers in Babel and the robbers of Eretz Yisrael. Robbers of Eretz Yisrael praise the students. Wow, praiseworthy are you, Rabbi Akiva students, and the bandits, the robbers in Babel. They said a disparaging comment to them. So
two different words. They call it one is robbers and the other bandits.
Bandits, yeah, I don't know. The word listim, the Gemara says there are two kinds of listim. They're like armed robbers and not armed robbers. I don't know.
Well,
maybe
bandits, I know it's criminals are more violent than robbers.
Oh, okay. Listim. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Next, wow. Mishnah more about idol worshippers and yeah. So yeah. I guess the way it worked was that they wouldn't just rob you along the road. They would wait to see where your destination is. There's more goods over there. I don't know.
Yeah, why do they put it off?
No, I'm just thinking now. Maybe they put it off because it's not worth it for them. Meaning, they can go get someone else and get and get more money when they follow him to his home. They're going to use all the resources now and get into a fight. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. Just guessing. Okay, Bas Yisrael, a Jewish girl, a Jewish woman. Sorry, Lo Tialet Esa Obedes Kovim. She should not assist in a idol worshiper. She should not be a midwife for an idol worshiper. Why? The kids being born into a family. Not to be too crude, but imagine nowadays we don't help Hamas give birth, right? We're not their midwives because you know what's going to happen. How's the kid going to grow up? So the same exact idea. So you're going to help the idol worshiper. Okay, what's he going to grow up as an idol worshiper? So and we've seen so far they're not the highest people in society yet. Especially from a Jewish perspective. So she's going to give birth to a son to an idol worshiper. Now, an idol worshiper who wants to help out she could be a midwife for a Jew, that's okay. We'll see more about that. Bas Yisrael, now that's about giving birth. Now, what about nursing? Bas Yisrael lo tanik b'na shel avedes kochavim. She should not go and nurse the son of the idol worshiper, or the child of an idol worshiper. So once again, you are assisting idol worshippers. Aval avedes kochavim enika b'na shel Yisrael, but only birshusa. The idol worshiper could be a midwife for a Jewish lady. She could, sorry, not a midwife. She can nurse the Jewish child, but only in your house, in your domain, not in the other person's domain. So, Taner Rabbanan, Taner Rabbanan. Okay, let's see. The Brisa says, "Ba'as Yisrael lo tialed es avedes kochavim, mipnei shemialed es ben avedes kochavim, avedes kochavim lo tialed es ba'as Yisrael mipnei shechashudin al shrichus damim." Divrei Reb Meir. So Reb Meir says, a Jewish girl should not be a midwife for an idol worshiper like our Mishnah, because she's going to give birth to, help assist the birth of an idol worshiper. We don't want that. An idol worshiper should not help a Jewish. She should not be a midwife for a Jew, because we're worried that she might kill. We're worried if you had an idol worshiper midwife, she might kill the kid. Divrei Rabbi Meir. That's Rabbi Meir's opinion, and we don't want that to happen. The Chachamim Omrim, they argue. Ovedes kochavim miyaledis as bas Yisrael, an idol worshiper can give birth. She can assist in the birth of a Jew, but only bisman she'acheros omedes al gaba. Only if there are other Jewish women that are there. The whole nursing team are Jews, then the final midwife could be an idol worshiper, because they're there to protect from the baby to get killed. Avalo beina lebeina, but you can't do it privately. So the rabbis, Reb Meir says you can never do it. The rabbis said you could do it as long as there's people that are watching her, but not privately.
There was one statement that would not deliver the child of an Israelite woman, even when other Israelite women are present.
That's the next line.
Oh.
The Reb Meir Omer, good. No, very good. The Reb Meir, better a step ahead than a step behind, right? So Reb Meir Omer, afilu, Reb Meir is more stringent. Afilu acheros amedes lagaba. Even if other ladies who are there, nami lo, why not? The zimnin demanchale yada, aputa, the katle, the lo mitchasi. She's going to go, and when she gives birth to the baby, press him in the soft spot of his forehead, and that's going to kill the baby. And she can do that so subtly that the other women who are there are not going to see. So Reb Meir is worried for that, and the Chachamim are not worried for that. It was bothering me a little bit. If there's any chance of death, we avoid it all. Safek pikuach nefesh, a doubtful chance of risking your life, you also avoid at all costs. So, like, what the Chachamim is saying. So, it's not what you have to say is, it wasn't such a big worry. This wasn't an actual case of a doubtful death, right? It was, I don't know, call it 5%, 10%, and not enough to be considered a suffix, a doubt. And then Rav Meir is still stringent, and the Chachamim are still going to be lenient, something like that. So that is about midwife. Now, Kiyahi Issa the Amr lechaverta. So you had a lady who told her friend, "You molda Yehudiyasa bas molda Yehudiyasa. You midwife Jewish, daughter of a midwife Jewess." So Amrullah. So now that sounds like the Jewish midwife said back to her, "Nefishin bishta that he is there should be all the bad things happen to that lady, meaning to you. They come ashpilna minayu dama ki upya denahara, because you idol worshiper midwife, you're spilling so much blood like the foam of a raging river." So you see this interaction that they were spilling blood. The idol worshippers were spilling blood. We're spilling blood. Now, the Rabbanan, what are they going to say? You see that blood is being spilled. So should they have that same worry as your mayor? You can't bring a story from this line. Why? Amar lohi b'milsa lohi b'milsa ba'alma hudu kimta. She's not talking about you actually spilled blood like the blood of a raging river. It was just a general way to speak. It was just a general comment she made to her. There's no proof from this way of speaking that she actually spilled blood. So, So just a way of speaking. So, or maybe it was like saying like you general idol worshippers spill a lot of blood. It wasn't saying like you midwives spill blood by killing the baby that you're giving birth to. Just you general idol worshippers are killing so much of our blood. Yeah. Bas Yisrael lo tanik. Now about nursing. So Tan Rabbanan, same thing. Rav Meir and the Chacham are going to have a very similar dispute. You cannot help nurse an idol worshiper kid because you're helping raise an idol worshiper. You can't do that. As Binah, an idol worshiper, you cannot go and she cannot nurse a Jewish child. We're worried again. According to Rav Meir, he's very worried she's going to kill the kid. No. She could nurse the child of a Jew. Bisman, as long as others are there, standing there to make sure she doesn't kill him. But they can't do it privately. Standing as before. Rav Meir Omer afilu acheres omdos al gaba nami lo. Even if there's a whole bunch of Jewish women that are there watching the idol worshiper lady nurse her son, nami lo de zimnin de shaifale sama lidad mavroi v'katale. She might privately put some poison on her breast, and therefore when the child goes and nurses from them, so then that's going to kill the baby, and therefore he's worried for that. Now you have to have both disputes between Rav Meir and the Chachamim, because you wouldn't know one without the other about secluding yourself to give birth to a Jewish child and to give birth to help assist the birth of a Jewish child. Rav Meir always prohibits it, even if there's others that are there. And to nurse a Jewish child, Rav Meir also prohibits it, even if there are others there. And the rabbis dispute him in both cases. Why do I need both cases? V'tzrich, I need both cases. Why? If you told me the case of midwife of giving birth, but he come here. There, the rabbis say the shari delay afshar mikim dacheres osa. There, the rabbis say, come on, no one's gonna miss. No one's gonna. They're there watching. No one's gonna miss it that she's gonna try to kill the baby. Everyone sees, so that's not such a worry. Aval menika the after the shaifalei sam ledad mavarei v'katlei ema modulei l'Rav Meir. But maybe the rabbis would concede, they would agree to Rav Meir by nursing, because there she might put on the poison when no one's looking, or privately. She puts on her breast, and that's going to kill the baby. Maybe they would agree to Rav Meir, to which we taught that they don't agree. They disagree still. Maybe the Rav Meir was only worried by nursing because there it's such a private thing. She put on the poison before she arrives at the house, and no one's going to see the poison on her breast. That's what's going to kill the baby. So maybe that's where Rav Meir said, there I'm worried that she might kill the child. But in the case where it's a midwife or she's delivering, so there everyone's there watching, there you would have thought that maybe Rav Meir would not be so worried, and he would allow the lady to give birth to the Jewish child. And yet Rav Meir still says, even in that case, I prohibit it, and I do not allow a idol worshiping midwife to give birth to a Jewish child, even if others are there. V'raminhu, we have a brayso that says Yehudis mi'aledes ovedes kochavim b'skar avalo b'chinam. Okay, no, maybe this is a new section already about doing it for pet. There is, I believe, if I remember correctly, it is brought down in halacha that that a person should always try to feed the child Jewish milk, kosher milk. If it's a non-Jewish midwife, she should eat kosher, so that the milk is kosher. And either the Ramah says it or a commentary on the Ramah says that the source is Moshe Rabbeinu. That Miriam was so strict with Moshe Rabbeinu, he should only have kosher milk, not kosher milk. It's a question that Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky asked. Well, that's Moshe Rabbeinu. What's that to do with us? Yeah, Miriam saw he's going to be leader of the Jewish people, get the Torah, be in the highest level of prophecy. So obviously you can't have anything that's remotely damaging in your inside. So to that he answered, you see from the fact that it's brought down in halacha like that, that you have to view every Jewish child that he can achieve greatness like Moshe Rabbeinu. And therefore, to not put any food in him that might be spiritually damaging is required as much as you could, even from the youngest age. Because we all have to strive to be like Moshe Rabbeinu. So that's
Kind of live here.
it sounds like.